house in order we're able to provide for the least of us, the children and the disabled and the elderly who all need support. But that doesn't mean that everybody else gets a free ride. You know, your generation worked hard to help build up a Social Security fund. Your generation worked hard to liberate this country from the potentials of Nazism and fascism. Members in this room served in Vietnam and Korea and have fought to preserve freedoms and to halt the spread of communism, which foundered and failed and was brought down by one man's dream, Reagan's dream, to crush communism. And through all of that, that's been done by hard work, sacrifice. And I'm not seeing the same kind of dedication, drive, and passion in the generations to come for the country. That concerns me greatly. It's been my objective as a state representative to work extremely hard as a legislator, writing bills, working on modifying and correcting bills, doing that tedious work that lawyers like to do and that legislators need to do. But there are bigger pictures. There's a bigger future. There's a brighter future ahead for us. I do believe, just as we saw the fireworks bursting in the air on the 4th of July, I do believe that this country still is and can be those bright flashes in the darkness that exist everywhere else around us. If not the United States, then who? But for the United States, where would France be today? But for the United States, where would Great Britain be? But for the United States, where would Indochina and those areas be today? But for the United States, we wouldn't have a South Korea. But for this nation and the greatest generation that preceded me, all of the freedoms, all of the privileges, all of the economic prosperity that has come about in this world, I doubt would exist. And if you think about that in a historical sense, you have to say that you have to have an optimistic point of view that this country has been that bright beacon of liberty and freedom in a dark world.
Amen.
And it needs to be that again. It can be, it needs to be more than just bursts of flashes in the sky, in the night sky on the 4th of July. It has to be more than one day of waving the flag and parades. It needs to be a country where the citizens are always in the parade, and the parade is towards the common purpose of ensuring that everybody is working towards liberty and freedom and preserving our Constitution and what our founding fathers intended. And what I'm seeing is something different from that. But if we are not active politically, if we are apathetic, then you will turn over that light to the darkness. And it will be extinguished. And so I ask you for your support. I ask you to stand with me, to stand with all the other Republicans that are running this November, and try and help us preserve the ideas of this party, but the grander ideas of liberating this country and many other people from the tyranny that exists in this world, from the darkness that surrounds us. From Lincoln to Roosevelt, Theodore, to Reagan, we have had a series of prominent leaders that have worked to liberate. Lincoln liberating black men and women from slavery and bondage. We had Roosevelt liberating the workers that were being abused from corporate oppression. And then you had Reagan liberating so much more of the world from communism. mean, it's just it's phenomenal what this party has done and stood for when you get down to those principles. But those principles are always freedom above all of them, liberty above all everything else. And you can't have those two items. And our founding fathers knew this. You cannot have those two principles sustained if your government grows, because what happens is it occupies and sucks the very life out of individual liberty.
Amen.
Amen.
If that is what's happening, it needs to stop. I know people were upset about the sequester. I was celebratory. So other people, I'm sure in this room, were also happy about the sequester. Finally, a stopgap measure that meant something. That is why I keep fighting for the balanced budget amendment. We've got to have fiscal restraint for the simple purpose of putting a stop on the growth of government. That needs to be there. Once that brake is applied, so many other small portions of this government can be eaten, bitten down, and shrunk so that it does what its essential purposes are, which is national defense, infrastructure, to the extent that it furthers national commerce. I'm not sure there's much else. But what we need you to do is to get behind us, help us locally. Brian Strickland and myself both have contested races in November. We are going against Democrats. I know one of whom wants to expand Medicaid and wants to have Medicare for everyone in the state. We cannot have that happen. We have a governor, Jason Carter, running to expand Medicare. Look, let me tell you, we decided not to do that. The governor decided not to do that. And we reaffirmed that this session because it's going to cost $3 billion over 10 years. Money we don't have unless we take it from somewhere else or you raise taxes. Neither of which makes sense in a struggling economy and where the state budget and state administrative body has been cut to the bone. The budget cuts. Those, the amount of people that we would take on, about 650,000 Georgians, is simply to allow a group of individuals that are able to work, able to be a part of the system, able to own their own insurance, had we not had Obamacare, to now be on the government plan. That's not right. And the realities that we see coming out of Obamacare are simple. The quote was 40.7 million Americans without health insurance. The numbers who have signed up, 9.7, 9.3, something like that. Out of those, only 1.4 of them are new coverage people, people that didn't have coverage before. We are living in a time of lies and misleading information, and it's all for pushing an agenda that makes us think we're doing something good for other people, but in reality, while we're reaching over to quote unquote do something good for 1.4 million people, the rest of the country suffers as a result. And it's time that we start getting our priorities back in line with just simple core principles. So I invite you to join us and help us in this fight. We have a fundraiser and a gathering, fund gathering this coming weekend called Guns and Grub for Brian Strickland and myself. The American Heritage Gun Club. They've been kind to help us put on this event, and we invite you to come if you haven't signed up. We only have a few spots left. When I say sign up, you can register to actually get a free round. So you can shoot a .22 pistol or a 9mm pistol at the gun range, and it's on us. It's part of the event. If you want to buy more rounds, that's on you. We're also, through the GOP, the Senate has been very kind to help us. We've got some raffle items that will raise money for the GOP at the event. So we have some, you can get either a rifle or a handgun, depending on which one you prefer. And Vicki and I were talking about earlier that ladies aren't going to want to carry a rifle put in their purse. So.
I can't put an AR-15 in my purse.
And we have Braves tickets, and we also have gift certificates for a free membership, 1-year membership at the gun club. So there's going to be some things raffled off that I think you'll enjoy receiving. I think it'll be a nice event. If you have grandchildren, you want to bring them with you. We're going to have a jumpy there so the kids can play while you go inside and enjoy. Be able to watch other shooters shoot. So I think it'll be fun. There's going to be barbecue. So it should be a nice event. I hope you can come and join us. And Joyce will be there to help out, and other people will be helping us out. I've taken a lot of your time. If you have questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them as best I can.
I think that's a